I got it instantly, or at least in my mind, that real estate was a progression, that contacts equal leads, leads equal appointments, appointments equal listings, listings equal sales. This industry is all about the hustle. And everyone thinks the way you succeed in real estate is work harder, work harder, work harder. More will never be the answer to not enough. It's the skill of making people feel understood, which is the missing piece in all of sales.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Glennda Baker. I'm a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia, and welcome to Glenda's Guru. And today on this episode, I have Steve Shull, and I am so excited to chat with him. He has been the big topic of conversation in several masterminds that I have been in, I'd say probably over the last several months. And finally, I was like, we are going to stop talking about him until I can talk to him one-on-one. So Steve, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am excited to chop it up with you today.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Well, for some of my audience who may not have heard of you, tell us a little bit about you, a little background. How long have you been doing this? I mean, obviously you're a high performance coach in the real estate space. But for those of people who haven't heard about you, tell us a little bit more.
Again, my name is Steve Shull. I grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I went to the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I was fortunate enough to make it with the Miami Dolphins as a free agent. Played 4 seasons for the Dolphins before a knee injury ended my career. I played in Super Bowl 17. I was one of the tri-captains for the team. Played the Washington Redskins. After my knee injury, I went back, got my MBA from the University of Miami, worked 5 years on Wall Street, and then made a big turn, moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. Someone turned me on to real estate, and I got into the world of real estate. And in my first year in business, which was 1990, closed 53 transactions. And in my second year, I was on track to close 100 transactions when I came up with the idea for real estate coaching. And actually, I am the first real estate coach. It was my idea. I went to Mike Ferry with the idea in 1993, and Mike liked the idea, and we rolled it out. And I worked with Mike's organization for 3 years. 1996, went out on my own. Been coaching. This will be my 33rd year in coaching. I've always coached. In 2007, actually opened up a brokerage with 2 partners called Tellus Properties. Grew that to about 500 agents. And then I left, and here I am today coaching.
Get out. I did not know that you were part of Tellus.
Yeah, well, I was the founder.
Oh, my stars and stripes. That is amazing. So where do you live now?
I live in Brentwood, California, out in West Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. I've been to Brentwood. I love California. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So you will never, ever remember this, but you were actually at a superstar retreat in 1994 in Atlanta, Georgia. And that was the first time that I had the opportunity to meet you.
I wish I could say I remember it, but I don't. Sorry.
It's okay. I look so much better now. I'm much, much better now. You look actually very much the same. So it's kind of a little bit alarming to me, but I digress. We won't get into that. Now, did you play with that guy, Dan Marino?
Yes. My last year was his rookie year in the NFL.
Oh, wow. So I do a Super Bowl pop by for several of my clients. And one of my clients was the anchor for Headline News here in Atlanta, Robin Meade. And I had done a Super Bowl pop by, and it was the year that the Super Bowl was in Atlanta. And it was when the New Orleans Saints had that terrible call against them and they didn't get to go to the Super Bowl. Okay. And I had these penalty markers, and she had taken my pop by to the set. She was interviewing Dan Marino that morning. And she throws down the penalty marker and he's like, oh my gosh, where did you get that? And she's like, my real estate agent. So I was all excited about that. And Dan Marino was number 13, which is my lucky number. So
All
we
right.
have a little bit in common. But I want to talk to you about real estate because, as I kind of prefaced in your introduction, I run a room in Clubhouse every Wednesday morning. And I think that some of your disciples are in this room because every time that we start talking about something, Steve Shull says, Steve Shull says, Steve Shull says. And I'm like, who in the world? Like, I kept thinking, I know him. How do I know him? And then I was like, oh, my stars, I met him at the Superstar Retreat. So I want to ask you, I mean, you're a big fancy stockbroker. You're in finance on Wall Street. What makes you get into real estate?
Well, part of that story is not for consumption today. The part I can share is I actually heard an interview with two agents in Long Beach, California, Kim and Daryl Rouse, and someone gave me this CD, and they were in their second year, and they were on track to sell 100 homes. And I listened to this CD and I got it instantly, or at least in my mind, that real estate was a progression, that contacts equal leads, leads equal appointments, appointments equal listings, listings equal sales. And it just made total sense to me. And I had met someone who was a real estate agent in Fullerton, California. I decided to move out to Fullerton, California. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. I just did what these two agents were talking about. And what they were doing was knocking on doors and calling expired listings. And, because of my background in sports, I was not a stranger to A, hard work, and B, discipline. And so I started out knocking 25 doors a day, and I didn't know anything. And truth be told, I probably sold close to 100 homes in the 18 months I was an agent. I only filled out one listing contract. I didn't know anything about the contracts. My partner did. What I focused on was how to go get business, and started out knocking 25 doors a day, worked it up to 200 doors a day, called every expired every day until I got a hold of them. So I was spending a minimum 4 to 6 hours a day prospecting and following up. And, I just kept it simple.
It's interesting that you say that, because typically before I do a podcast with somebody, I look up their disc test. And, a lot of the research that I did on you was where you were very factual and analytical. And I kept thinking to myself, that does not match his disc test. He is a DI, and the door knocking and not afraid to approach people. That is absolutely the DI all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So I see where that's coming in now. But it sounds like from the research that I did that at some point you were very factual. You were very logical about your business. You were very disciplined about it. And you kind of, let's say, invented the playbook of real estate long before it was called that, because you had a system that you were following.
It's funny you should say that, because you're exactly right. And what shifted for me was a little less than 10 years ago, one of my clients gave me a book called Never Split the Difference, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And the author, Chris Voss, former lead FBI international hostage negotiator. And it was a Saturday afternoon, and I'm reading that book, and I had a major epiphany. And the epiphany was, you cannot overcome emotion with fact, logic, and reason. And I was the guy for the first 20, 25 years of my coaching career who was boiling everything down to fact, logic, and reason. And this book hit me like a ton of bricks. I made a 180 shift instantly. I got on the phone with Chris, connected with Chris. I said, Chris, everything that you wrote about in this book applies 100% to real estate. How can we work together? And we started working together back then, did our first 8-week course on negotiating. And, eventually that turned into Chris and I authoring the book, The Full Fee Agent. And so, I started out as someone who was all about prospecting and follow-up, lead generation, lead conversion, the numbers, one-dimensional and very linear process. And now I'm at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. What I came to realize, that real estate is a repeat and referral business. That's what it is. You look at almost every top performer, and at least 50%, if not 60, 70, 80% or more of their business is repeat and referral. And rather than going out talking to strangers every day, again, which I did, knocking on doors and all, expired listings, all that stuff, completely changed the whole approach to real estate and the full fee agent. And I welcome everybody to read that book, because it's just an absolute game changer. This industry, a couple things. This industry is all about the hustle. And everyone thinks the way you succeed in real estate is work harder, work harder, work harder. It's all about more, 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 more. And I'm here to tell all of you, more will never be the answer to not enough. And this just desperate search for, I want to do more. I need more leads. I need more appointments. I need more listings. I need more sales. That kind of thinking is a reflection of a scarcity mindset, and all it does is perpetuate the problem. You're never going to have enough. The answer to not enough is better. It's not trying to do more. And so, teaming up with Chris and writing that book, it just, again, the way I coach today is completely different from where I started 33 years ago.
You know what? So for my people that sit in the back of the room, I want you to listen to this. More will never be the answer to not enough. The answer to not enough is better. Truer words have never been spoken. That is so critical to learn in your real estate career. You are hit the nail on the head. Oh, my stars and stripes. I love that so much. And I wish, I've been selling real estate since Jesus was a baby, for God's sake. Obviously, if I saw you in 1994 when we were both 12, right. My God, it seriously, I was the hustler, just very similar to you. When's your birthday, by the way?
March 27th.
Oh, it's coming up. I love it. So listen to this. So everybody in my immediate circle, their birthday is March 24th to May the 10th. Every single person, except my daughter. But it's so crazy, but I digress. Anyway, so I will tell you, for so long, I was hammering the phones, because I was a product of Mike Ferry. If you make this many phone calls, you'll get this result, this predictable result. And never, ever was there any mention about past clients, sphere of influence, nurturing those people.
No, that was bad business.
Oh yeah.
That business did not count. The only business that counted was prospecting. Everything else, open houses, no. Past clients, no. Referrals, no. And I'll be careful what I say here. The great thing that I got with Mike was, if you were in his programs, the thing he stressed, if you didn't sell 50 homes a year, you were a nobody. And as terrible as that sounds, it set a standard though. When I got year one in the business, my goal was to sell 50 homes, and I was serious about that.
Yeah.
And so, that was one good thing that I took away from that experience.
Well, I've seen your interview with Chris Voss, and your book, The Full Fee Agent, was kind of what sparked like all of this conversation around your name and around your coaching program. And it is, your new book is The Rocket Science. What is it?
Real estate is not rocket science.
Real estate is not a rocket science. And I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear. So you meet Chris Voss, you get introduced to him, you do an 8-week course. You guys create an 8-week course for real estate agents, and then you come up with this book, The Full Fee Real Estate Agent. And really, he turned you on to tactical empathy, correct?
Correct.
And that really changed the way, number one, I would assume that you looked at your own business and the way that you were coaching your clients. Is that correct?
It changed everything. And the truth is the truth. And when I read the truth, it wasn't hard. It was not hard. And I did a complete 180. And what tactical empathy is the art of influencing others by articulating what they're thinking and feeling without necessarily agreeing, disagreeing, or sympathizing. Basically, it's the skill of making people feel understood, which is the missing piece in all of sales. All of you have been taught to understand what's going on with someone, to ask a bunch of questions to find out what the need is, what the problem is, what the dream is. And then as soon as you find out, you're trying to sell right into it. And tactical empathy, that's not what tactical empathy is about. Tactical empathy is listening to understand what someone is thinking and feeling. So then you can articulate back to them what they're thinking and feeling. And what you're targeting is a "that's right" response. And when you hear someone say, "that's right," what that means is you've hit the bullseye in terms of what they're thinking and feeling. And what it means is they get that you get what they're thinking and feeling. And that's where trust is born. And this industry is not doing anybody any favors. It's trying to make all of you into a commodity. That's what the entire industry does. And you're all measured by one number, your productivity, which again is making you a commodity. You're measured by it, you're ranked by your productivity, you're paid by your productivity. And productivity is just one piece of the equation. And so tactical empathy is not about convincing people to do business with you. Tactical empathy is about finding out, do they want to do business with you? And one of the concepts that Chris introduced me to is the idea of the favorite or the fool. And this is foundational to the work that we do. In my opinion, it's just my opinion, this entire industry is built on a false premise. And the false premise is that you as a real estate agent win or lose business based on your ability to articulate your value and give a presentation. Anytime an agent is not getting a listing, they immediately go to, I need a better presentation. I need a better presentation. Well, I've got news for you. When you get that phone call that you so desperately want, which is, hi, we're thinking about selling our home and we'd love you to come out to the house and talk to us about that. Every agent wants that phone call. They jump for joy when you get that phone call. What you don't realize is when you get that phone call, they already know who they're going to work with, or they're leaning strongly in a direction. There's no such thing as an open mind. There's no such thing as a level playing field. And all of you who are going out there on a listing presentation thinking the playing field is level, and if you give the best presentation, you're going to get the business. Sorry, doesn't work that way. That's not the way people make decisions. And I know everyone listening to this can go back in their mind to a presentation where you thought you nailed it. and you were the best choice, and they listed with someone else, some no name who does no business, and you're sitting there scratching your head, what happened, and looking, what can I do better in my presentation? It had nothing to do with your presentation. If you're a top agent in this business, there's only one reason why you don't get a listing. Only one. And that reason is they're listing with someone else, period. It has nothing to do with what you said or did on your listing presentation. And I know this is a mind blower for anyone listening to this. I'll take it a step further. What we teach in performance coaching, we call it the new client discovery call. So when someone calls you and says, we're thinking about selling our home, can you come out? We're going to say, yes, absolutely. However, if you don't mind, if you don't think it's a horrible idea, would you be opposed to setting up a quick Zoom call or phone call prior to coming out? Won't be more than 15 minutes, so I can find a little bit more about what's going on. And that's your first filter to find out whether you're the favorite or the fool. If you're the favorite, if they're going to do business with you or they're leaning in your direction, they'll say, no problem. We absolutely want to do that. If you're the fool in the game, if you're just due diligence, if you're just being interviewed, and this is something that most of you don't understand, a lot of times, at least 50% of the time you're being interviewed, you're just due diligence. That's all you are. You don't have any shot whatsoever at the business. Doesn't make a difference what you say. Anyway, if they don't want to do that short call before the appointment, that's your first sign that you might be the fool in the game. Now, here's where it gets interesting. And we started this about 10 years ago. And the idea was, I am not going out to the house without a commitment to work together up front. And when we first introduced that concept, you can imagine, that sounded like pure insanity. What do you mean you're not going out to the house to give a presentation before you have a commitment to work together? Well, I can tell you, 10 years later, and client after client doing this, I don't teach listing presentations anymore. I haven't taught a listing presentation in 10 years. In 10 years. And I was the guy who had listing presentation training camps and boot camps where I bring people in to get up in front of the room and give a live listing presentation. All of it was canned. All of it was put together. Haven't taught a listing presentation in 10 years.
So,
and the look on your face says everything.
I'm in the floor. I'm on the floor. I'm like, oh my, I said that to somebody the other day. What do you mean? Like, I'm passed out. I can't believe this. I absolutely love, and I've got to tell you, I have really been getting the shit kicked out of me the last few weeks because I have been on several listing presentations and I was obviously the fool. And you are exactly right. I came back to my office and, was waiting for that call that you got the listing. And sure enough, I didn't get the listing. And in fact, my daughter who works with me, we were talking about it today. She didn't get a listing. I didn't get a listing. And we were like, what could we have done better? And you are exactly right. Both of those listings, we were just the due diligence because.
Glennda, think for a second. Sorry to interrupt you. Think for a second.
Yeah.
Who would not list their property with you? Who? Okay.
Right. Exactly.
And I mean that. There's nobody who would not list their property with you. The only people who don't, because they already have a real estate agent. And the reason why they're talking to you is just to make sure that they're not missing anything. And because you're so good at what you do have a 20% chance. When you're the fool in the game, your chance of getting the listing is not zero. It's 20% or less. So you've had instances where you've gone out for first of all, and again, I want everyone to listen close to this. And Glennda, you're a great example. You probably think because I would imagine you probably get 90% of the
Oh, yeah,
appointments that you
absolutely.
go on. Okay. It has nothing to do with your presentation. Newsflash. I know you think it does. It doesn't. You were the favorite going in. It has nothing to do with the presentation you gave. You're the favorite. All right. However, because you're so good at what you do, 20% of the time you go in as the fool and you walk out as the favorite. And now you're thinking to yourself, oh, I can do this all the time. No, it's not. And in the way we coach, we're not interested in that 20%. We're willing to walk away from those opportunities. We only want to go to the house when we feel our chance of getting that listing is 80% or more. And in this 15-minute Zoom call or call that we do prior to going out to the house, we have a framework. And the framework for that call is there a deal here? Is there a deal here with me? And do I want that deal? And we walk people through this framework. And I want all of you to listen, because this sounds like insanity. Who is this knucklehead? You're going to get so many calls. Never have that guy back on this program again. He is, certifiable. We need to hear real people with real ideas. Anyway, in 15 minutes or less, without talking about price, without talking about home preparation, without talking about your marketing plan, we're not talking about any of that stuff. The one thing we will talk about is our fee, and we charge a full fee. So, but in 15 minutes or less, we're going to find out, am I the favorite or the fool?
I love that. I love it. I mean, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I went, no lie, to Lawrenceville. You have no idea where that is. That is like an hour and 4 minutes from my house in Atlanta traffic, for God's sake.
Right.
And this lady didn't have any more. She wasn't going to list that house with me if I had walked in with Michael Jordan by my side. She just wasn't coming. She wasn't going to list her house with me. She was listed with her cousin. She was listed. And if I had that 15-minute discovery call and said, I guess ask the right questions, are you interviewing any other agents? Are you related to those people? Why are you interviewing me? Probably. Like, I would have had so much more information and I could have just said, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and list it with your cousin?
Yeah.
And on top of that, she didn't want to pay me. She wanted to list it with her. She goes, well, my cousin will do it at X percent. And I'm like, but I'm the Michael Jordan of real estate. I don't do it at that percent. Why would I do that? Of course she said, no, I want you. I'm like, well, of course you do, because I'm the best. But she wanted me at that discounted rate. And so, my head spun around, snot flew out of my nose. And again, I come back, I drive all the way back and another hour back. And I'm thinking to myself that there's 2 hours of my life that I'll never get back.
And it also stings because you know how good you are, and it just doesn't compute. And it's like, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's crazy. So talk to me a little bit about the rocket science. Real estate isn't rocket science. This is your new book, correct?
Right. This is something that I've said throughout my entire coaching career. Real estate is not rocket science, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's not. It's a very simple business. The deals are complicated. I grant you that. However, the business of real estate is not complicated. And again, I coach to a very specific model now, which is repeat and refer. That's where the focus is. And job one, when you're building a repeat and referral business, is cultivating relationships. That's your job. And this is the interesting thing about real estate, is the thing that agents resist more than anything else is cultivating relationships. What I ask my clients to do is to reach out every 90 days by phone or in person. You can follow up with email and text, but you got to pick up the phone or you got to see someone in person. And it's a check-in call. It's not a real estate call. You're not bringing real estate up unless they bring it up to you. It's as simple, hi, how you doing? That's it. And all of you out there understand that it's just so uncomfortable for most of you to develop an ongoing relationship once the deal closes. For 30, 60, 90 days, you're in this intimate relationship. You're talking every day or multiple times a day. You're exposed to every aspect of their life, and then the deal closes and boom, you disappear. And what happens, it's interesting how it happens. The day of closing, you're committed to picking up the phone and calling them and congratulating. You get busy that day. All right, I'll do it tomorrow. I promise I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, you're busy again. All right, I'll do it tomorrow. Day 3, you're already feeling a little bit awkward. I should have called them 3 days ago. This is weird. And now day 3 becomes week 1, month 1, year 1, year 1, 10 years. And that's how you lose contact, because on that day of closing, you didn't pick up the phone. And so, the challenge that all of you have out there in your business is, cultivating relationship takes work. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel that natural at first. The alternative, though, if you're not going to do that, and again, it's as simple as reaching out every 90 days. You don't need to mail. You don't need to email. You don't need to do anything else. You do need to do, that reach out. The alternative is I can hope and pray that they come back to me. I can do that.
So true.
Please, please, please. Or I can sporadically follow up and, send out a mass email every once in a while. And again, hope and pray they come back to me. Or I can just knock on doors every single day for the rest of my life trying to get new business. Either way is going to be uncomfortable. One of the things I learned as a professional athlete, one of the lessons that I took from that is you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. As a professional athlete, you play with pressure every single day. My job was literally, and it was literally on the line every single day. And you have to learn to adapt to that kind of pressure. Real estate is not that dissimilar. You have no guarantee of any paycheck ever.
Nope.
You got to go out and earn it every single day. So you've got to learn to the muscle that you have to build in this business is doing what you don't want to do. That's the muscle you have to build up. That's the habit you have to develop, doing what you don't want to do. The things I coach agents on every day: practicing mindfulness, optimizing time, cultivating relationship, implementing systems and process, mastering communication, and acting strategically. After 33 years, I've distilled it down to the 6 things that agents most don't want to do. And I didn't do it because I'm evil and I want to torture people. It happens to be the 6 things that you need to do to build a thriving repeat and referral business. And so if you're in this business, and we're all wired, we've got to remember, as human beings, our brain is wired to seek comfort. Our brain is wired to seek ease. Our brain is wired to seek safety. And you can't be safe and be successful in real estate. You've got to be out there taking risks. You've got to risk rejection every single day. And this is what I love about the favorite and the fool. In 15 minutes or less, I can find out, am I the favorite or the fool? I don't have to suffer. One of the great things that Chris Voss says, it's not a sin to lose business. It's a sin to take a long time losing business. And that's what most agents are doing. They're spending the majority of their day working on business they're never going to get.
That's so true. That's so true. I think that and what most people don't realize is the past client, the sphere of influence, is really the easiest source of business because those people already know you. They already love you. They've already done business with you. You've saved them from a 3-star experience. Why would you not want to pick up the phone and call them and love on them? What I like to do is take notes about all my clients, their favorite color, what they love, what they like to drink, where they like to eat, and that just comes in general conversation. For God's sakes, you're working with somebody 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months on the most significant purchase that they'll probably make in their lifetime. Hopefully you took an interest in them and you learned something about them. And then if I drive by a restaurant or I see a flower or I see something that, reminds me of that person, and this is the thing, you can't email and text anymore. And the reason I think, and I may be wrong, feel free to correct me if I am, even though it's my show, I'll let you. The reason that email and text aren't as effective is because people automate email and text so much that your clients don't think you're doing email and text, but they can't deny that it's you on the other end of the phone. They can't deny when they hear your voice. And I think that that's why picking up the phone, calling them is so much more critical today than ever before.
It's a people business. It's a relationship business. Call me old school, call me old, call me whatever you want. Don't give me this nonsense that people don't talk on the phone anymore. I hear this all the time. They just want to text. You can't sell a home by text alone. Give me a break. It's way more nuanced than that. Stuff happens. You've got to talk to people.
You have to. And I even tell, for me, I love like a voice text. I love a video. God knows I love a video like nobody's business. But the thing about it is that you've got to do something that moves the needle for the other person. I think that real estate agents are so like self-centric. They're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about what makes them look better. The best real estate agents build their brand by making it all about their clients. And really I believe so strongly in past client sphere of influence business like nobody's business. So I love
that is what you just said is the foundation of tactical empathy. It's not about you, it's about them. And in this process, the first thing when you're getting into any type of sales encounter, the first thing you have to do, we call it emptying your bucket, meaning you've got to let go of all your needs, your wants, your agenda. You've got to let all of that go. And then you have to cross the street, meaning you got to get on the other side of the street and see the world through their eyes. What are they thinking and feeling? It's not what you're thinking and feeling is irrelevant. It's what are they thinking and feeling? And then you want to gently guide them to where they want to go with them thinking it's their idea. As a salesperson, you think you're supposed to be a leader. No, you're a guide. Leaders tell people what to think. Guides make people think about what they need to think. In the book, The Full Fee Agent, I think this is really important. We have a chapter which is called Put Responsibility Where It Belongs. The reason why most agents are stressed out all the time because they're taking responsibility for things they're not responsible for. You don't pick the price. They pick the price. It's not your job to know the price. Nobody can know the price. Nobody can predict what a home is going to sell for. Nobody can predict what it should be listed for. Yes, do you have an educated guess? Certainly. It's still a guess. And the point of this is agents forever have thought their job was to fix every problem. No, your job is not to fix the problem. It's to lay out the landscape. This is what you're up against. This is what you need to be thinking about. And you make people think, and then you empower them to make decisions. When someone asks you for your opinion, guess what? They don't want your opinion. What they're asking for is the reason why they're asking is they simply want to know, are you thinking what they're thinking? They don't care what you think. They just want to know, is what you're thinking what they're thinking? And
Yeah.
it's not about what you're thinking. And here's a test for all of you. Go look through your emails, and what you're going to see in every email that you write, you're going to see I. It's I all over the place. What you want to do with your emails and the way you communicate, replace I with you. Speak to people from their perspective, from their point of view. What you think and feel is irrelevant.
Yeah, 100%. And you're exactly right. Again, we as real estate agents and as salespeople, you're very self-centric. And, I always feel like that I help people, I provide the clarity and certainty so the client is confident and comfortable to make a decision. And I think that when you help them, see what they want to see, and that's where we are. We help people with what is typically their largest single asset. And you're exactly right. We're a guide helping them get to what their goal is in real estate. So I
just want to say real quickly, I hope everyone, I know you are, is listening to Glennda, because this is a pro's pro. There's your model for success.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
You know what? I got to tell you, we hadn't talked since 1994, but it's so funny. I was thinking, okay, because typically I kind of have a little bit more, intel on, who I'm going to interview. And I was thinking to myself, wow, I hope that I've got great chemistry with him. And so I got to tell you, I am happy as a pig in a puddle, and I hope you are too. This has been an amazing. I took so many notes about, and this is the thing, is you're like, Glennda, why did you take notes? It's your show. You get to watch it back whenever you want to. And that's true. But I love in the moment. And one of the things that you said, and I don't think that I repeated it back, but I loved this: tactical empathy, articulating their feelings back to them, making them feel heard and understood. I love that.
That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game right there. That's the game changer. That's the missing piece in sales. That's what no one is teaching. And that's where trust is born. And in the model that I teach, it's not about value. Everyone's out there, when the big change in commission came last August, all the training in real estate, you have to be able to articulate your value. You have to be able to articulate your value. It's not about value. It's about trust. And guess what, everyone? People will pay a lot more for trust than value. And here's the other kicker. When you're the favorite, they will pay you your fee, whatever it is. All right? When you're the fool in the game, it doesn't make a difference what your fee is.
No, you are exactly right. Nail on the head. Steve, thank you so much for being here. Now, where can my audience find you? Where, if they're looking for you, they're looking for performance coaching, where can they find you?
www.performancecoaching.com. If you want to email us, it's support@performancecoaching.com. Amazon, The Full Fee Agent, Real Estate is Not Rocket Science, and The Real Estate Team Playbook. Those are 3 books that we have available on Amazon.
And ladies and gentlemen, we will connect all of the links to Steve and to his amazing books. I cannot wait for you guys to listen to this episode. It was amazing. Steve, thank you so much for your time and your talent, for being here with me. I really appreciate it. My name is Glennda Baker. I'm a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. This has been Glennda's Guru, and our guru today, Steve Shull, did not disappoint.